Hey, what's up, everyone? It's the Speed Channel back once again. And today, everyone, we have a very special video. So, obviously, I haven't made a video in a while, but this will be the first video that I make. And it's going to be a pretty good one. I'm pretty, passionate about this theory. Thought a lot about it. So title of this video obviously is that Tom Cruise is the key to Avengers Doomsday and figuring out why Robert Downey Jr. was cast as Doctor Doom. But anyways, besides the point, let's get right into the video. Okay, so what I want to start off first with is addressing why Robert Downey Jr. was cast. So I do believe there's a lot of speculation about whether or not Robert Downey Jr. will actually be playing Victor Von Doom, like the actual Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom, or if he'll be playing a variant of Tony Stark who becomes Doctor Doom in a different universe. Now, I just don't think that's the case. I think that it's the latter. I think it's the prior. I think it is the fact that they cast him and they've already shown like director's chairs stuff saying Victor Von Doom and all that kind of stuff, and he's really leaning into the whole Doom vibe. I don't really get the whole Tony Stark vibe from what Robert Downey Jr. will be bringing to Avengers Doomsday. So what we have here is that, in my opinion, I feel as though the problem here is that Robert Downey Jr. he will be playing a version of Doctor Doom that is very different from the comics. So obviously that's one thing we got to keep in mind. And so the next thing I have is basically I do believe that this is all speculation for Fantastic Four First Steps as well, because this ties in quite a bit to that, considering that Doctor Doom is a Fantastic Four villain. He's a Fantastic Four character. He's not just some random villain or random character that Marvel came up with, the likes of, I don't know, Dormammu or Thanos. Thanos is like, he's literally just a character. He's just a villain for everyone. He's not a villain for only the Avengers or only the X-Men, or like Apocalypse is only for the X-Men pretty much. The Avengers don't really ever fight Apocalypse, that kind of stuff, so Doom is meant for the Fantastic Four, which is, I originally used to think that Doctor Doom may show up in the Fantastic Four. I just don't think that's the case anymore, because I feel like that if they were to introduce Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four, they actually would they should have marketed that way better. I feel like they have marketed the movie pretty good, but they could have made a ton of money if they marketed him, and the fact that they didn't just kind of gives me the inkling that he's not going to be in the movie, because they wouldn't miss out on an opportunity like that. Like, especially if you remember for Spider-Man No Way Home, they intentionally put out trailers that kind of showed evidence of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in the movie. Like the Brazil trailer that one time where it showed, freaking the lizard being kicked in the face by a random, piece of metal, even though in the actual movie, Andrew Garfield's character is the one who's kicking the lizard in the face in No Way Home. Anyways, besides the point, I overall do not think that he will be in the Fantastic Four First Steps main movie. However, I do believe that he will appear in a post-credit scene setting up Doomsday, similar to how the Thunderbolts, spoiler alert, set up Doomsday by bringing in the, spoiler alert one more time, the Fantastic Four ship. So, yeah, sorry I kind of spoiled that for people, but everyone kind of knows that at this point. If you haven't seen Thunderbolts, go watch it. It's a great movie. But yeah. Alright, so yeah, basically what I want to talk about now is, where does Tom Cruise come into all of this? So, Tom Cruise, if you don't know, originally when the first Iron Man was being made, they actually did not have Robert Downey Jr. as their first choice. He was the second choice. Originally, they had tried to cast Tom Cruise, but Tom Cruise turned down the role, not because he didn't want to do it, but because Marvel thought he was not a good fit. But actually, he won the audition. The problem was he was filming a Mission Impossible movie at the same time. So therefore, he was not able to play Iron Man. So Robert Downey Jr. ended up taking the role, and obviously he smashed it. I wouldn't want, not that I don't like Tom Cruise as Iron Man, but I feel like Robert Downey Jr. just is so iconic as Iron Man. If if I were to grow up with a version of Iron Man that was not RDJ, it just wouldn't be as special. But that being said, Tom Cruise probably still would have done a great job as Iron Man. Now, where this kind of expands a little bit more in my theory is if you remember back to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So this movie came out mid Phase 4 after No Way Home, and it kind of set up Doctor Strange from No Way Home to Multiverse of Madness, because at the end of No Way Home, they had the post-credit scene being the trailer for Multiverse of Madness. So that kind of kicked off the whole multiverse thing. Now, in that movie, in the preparation, the build up to that movie, there was speculation that there could possibly be a variant of Iron Man with Tom Cruise playing him. And this variant was suspected to be, if it was going to be in the movie, a version of Iron Man called the Superior Iron Man. Now, the Superior Iron Man in the comics is a version of Iron Man who is very arrogant and is a hero. He's a hero, quote unquote, in the sense that he does save people, he does make the world a better place, but he does it more for the glory than he does as an actual hero, kind of motive. As the famous line in the Avengers movies when Captain America first meets Iron Man is, "You're not the type of guy to lay down your life," and then we actually see that that's the opposite of what happened, and we actually end up seeing in Endgame that Tony Stark, Iron Man, really is the hero type. He is the kind of guy who's going to lay his life down. And in the comics, the regular Iron Man, yeah, he would definitely lay his life down for someone, for a civilian, to save the world, whatever. He's a true hero. The infamous Iron Man, not infamous Iron Man, sorry, Superior Iron Man. I'll get to infamous Iron Man in a little bit. But Superior Iron Man, literally just there for the glory. He's extremely arrogant and a really bad person. That kind of thing. So it's like, it's a version of Iron Man that's not very nice. But he's extremely smart and extremely advanced. And in his universe, Superior Iron Man's universe, not our regular Iron Man, but our Superior Iron Man universe in the comics, he actually creates Ultron, but he doesn't malfunction. Whereas in our universe and in most, Marvel universes that exist, Ultron does end up being bad in whatever universe he is. But in the Superior Iron Man universe, Iron Man is able to be so smart that he is able to build the AI of Ultron, but still have it to be, controlled and be actually what it's meant to be. A suit of armor, I guess, in around the world is how the MCU Iron Man describes what Ultron was supposed to be. So we see this now. Where the theory kind of gets a little bit murky, but at the same time also gets kind of proven, is that in the trailers and in the movie, we see Ultron bots. Now, these are Ultron sentries that they don't discuss as Ultron bots. And they don't necessarily, the movie never addresses them. They're just there. And they're in the Illuminati's residence. And they're there as the security, protectors, right? So the question is okay, even if Superior Iron Man is not part of the movie, or is not part of the Illuminati, he's definitely in that universe, because the Iron Man Ultron Sentry bots literally have the same paint scheme. They are silver and gold, just like Superior Iron Man. So that's one thing that kind of proved the Superior Iron Man speculation, and also the fact that there were leaks that came out saying a lot of correct stuff about the movie before it came out. And in those leaks, they also mentioned stuff about Tom Cruise. So if you can trust those leaks and they ended up becoming true, then you can kind of infer that Tom Cruise was supposed to appear as Superior Iron Man in this movie. Now, this is where my theory gets kind of big, and it's going to be kind of hard to wrap your head around it. So when we talk about Tom Cruise being the quote-unquote key to figuring out the Iron Man Doctor Doom situation, I first have to address one more thing. So I did address earlier on that I did believe that Doctor Doom would be appearing in the Fantastic Four post-credit scene. Now, what I didn't, and I also mentioned that he would not be in the movie, in my opinion. He could be in the movie, and it could be a cameo that I just don't know about. But I do believe, however, that he will be in the post-credit scene, and this is why. I believe that the Doctor Doom we're going to get from RDJ will be from the Fantastic Four universe. Now, here is what we have to talk a little bit more about Fantastic Four, the movie itself, and not so much about RDJ as Doctor Doom. So, what I think, and this is going to be a broad theory for the movie of Fantastic Four, but I do believe, if you're not familiar with Galactus, Galactus is going to be the main villain of the movie. And Galactus, his job is to eat worlds. He literally eats worlds and consumes them for energy, because otherwise reality would be disrupted by his death. And so he has to eat worlds, and Silver Surfer is the one who comes in, like kind of like tries to save the humans before Galactus eats them. But whatever, that's beside the point. I believe that at the end of the Fantastic Four movie, the Earth that the Fantastic Four live on and the RDJ Doctor Doom lives on will be destroyed. We have already seen this in the latest trailer that came out. We see a version of Earth being destroyed. So it's kind of odd that they showed that in the trailer, and kind of makes you think that, okay, if they're showing in the trailer, it may be some kind of vision. They're not going to show that actually in the trailer, right? I still believe that they're trying to mislead you with that and kind of like doing a double negative situation. And I do believe that the world, the Earth that the Fantastic Four live on in that universe will be destroyed. And this is what causes that Fantastic Four ship to come through from Thunderbolts and into the regular MCU universe, main 616 universe. I do believe that Reed Richards from that Fantastic Four movie will bring that ship over with some civilians from that world, in a reference to the Time Runs Out comic storyline that preceded the Secret Wars storyline in the comics, and I do believe that's going to be the setup for that. So I believe that Doctor Doom will come from that universe, and he'll see everything the Fantastic Four just witnessed, and he'll somehow sneak on that ship of the Fantastic Four, and this is where the theory comes into play with RDJ in terms of Avengers Doomsday. So we're coming back, and we're gonna pick back up here, but first let's get back to Tom Cruise. So Tom Cruise here, let's say, so my theory is contingent on the fact that I believe that Tom Cruise Iron Man is every Iron Man in the multiverse, except for RDJ's Tony Stark Iron Man that we had in the MCU. Now, what promotes me to say this is that you may say, okay, what if the TV show, if you're familiar with it, there are all those episodes are different, multiverse variants of the people we know, of the characters we know, and you may say, oh, the Iron Man in there resembles a lot of RDJ, but that's a TV show that's animated, and it doesn't really look all that much like an RDJ. It looks more like a generic Tony Stark character than it does RDJ or Tom Cruise. It's very ambiguous. But my opinion is that the Tony Stark we got in our MCU universe was never meant to be Iron Man. And I believe that he is the only variant of Iron Man that looks like Doctor Doom. And that every other Iron Man variant is essentially played by Tom Cruise. What you may be asking is, how can there be multiple actors that can play the same character as a variant? Now, if you followed the Phase 4 trilogy, Phase 5 trilogy, whatever it is, over the course since Infinity War and Endgame, there was a TV show called Loki, which followed the Loki from Endgame. And in that TV show, we meet multiple versions of Loki in the Void. And we, first of all, one of the main characters is a girl version of Loki. So it's a very, very stark difference to what our original Loki is. And on top of that, we also see a King Loki, we see a Kid Loki, we see some like I think he's like a very I think he's supposed to be like an arrogant Loki or whatever, and he's played by a different actor. It's very common to see variants, and we also know Fantastic Four. There's multiple Fantastic Four versions of Reed Richards. We have the Reed Richards from the original Fantastic Four movie. We have the Four Stick Reed Richards played by Miles Teller. We have John Krasinski playing him in Multiverse of Madness, ironically. And we have now Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards as well. So it's not uncommon to see a different actor playing the same character. So this kind of promotes this theory a little bit, and it takes away some of the speculation a little bit. But obviously, it's still theory. It's not true necessarily whatsoever. So basically, the way I feel that this is going to play out is that I feel that the way we're going to find Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday, we'll have to do something along the lines of kind of like a betrayal moment. And in the sense that there will be some kind of build up to RDJ Doctor Doom coming out as the villain, but I feel like he will be playing the misunderstood villain, kind of like how Thanos was. We see that Thanos, his goal is in essence a noble purpose, but however he executes it in a completely messed up, disturbing way and wants to kill half of the universe's population in order to fulfill that purpose. Now, I feel like we're going to have something similar with Doctor Doom here. Now, what I feel like what's going to happen is we all know that Avengers Doomsday is going to lead up into Avengers Secret Wars. And if you're not familiar with Avengers Secret Wars, I highly recommend watching a video on it. You can watch the full story recap with narration from Comic Storian on YouTube. He's a great person. He sadly passed away a couple years ago. But the channel still exists, and his best friend is the one who's continuing it on. They do great comic reviews over there. But yeah, so definitely go and check that out. But basically, in essence, if they're going to go by the comic book storyline by Jonathan Hickman, there's two comic book storylines for Secret Wars, and they do seem to line up more with the more recent Secret Wars storyline with Jonathan Hickman, and that storyline has Doctor Doom as the main villain, and in that that comic storyline, he's basically trying, in essence, in his mind, to save all of the universes, all the multiverses people by making Battle World and becoming God Emperor Doom. So that's a very bad statement because he can't be God. He can't. He's Doctor Doom. He's a mortal guy with a messed up face and sorcery superpowers. Just because he believes he is God, but obviously he's not. That's a different story. But regardless, that's the main thing, is that he tries to save the multiverse from being destroyed by incursions, and instead making his own world that encompasses all of the multiverse, in one world. So he has that same kind of thought process as Thanos. Now, I don't think, and I really hope that MCU does not do this, but I feel, though, as it will be something similar. Not in the sense that I feel like they're going to copy and paste Thanos, because obviously you can't really match Thanos after Infinity War and Endgame, so they're going to have to try something a little bit different here. And so what we don't get with Thanos is a misunderstood villain in the sense that he's really trying to work with the heroes or give the heroes a chance. Thanos is ruthless, and he does not want to give an inch. Whereas I feel like we're going to see Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday first taking care of the heroes and trying to gain the heroes' trust. I feel like that's what his motive is going to be. He's going to be in trying to... I think he's going to be fully aware that when he comes into the main MCU universe after the Fantastic Four movie, he's going to somehow know that, and it's not going to be somehow, it's very prominent in the main MCU universe that Tony Stark looked like Tony Stark. There's got to be murals around him everywhere, got to be tribute. There's a whole movie apparently that was an in-universe movie that was shown in one of the movies. I think maybe in I think Far From Home, they showed Peter Parker scrolling through some movies in an airplane. They showed a documentary about the Iron Man in that universe. So it's an in-universe movie, and so everyone knows how he looks like. So I feel like when Doctor Doom gets to this universe, however he gets there, if he sneaks aboard the Fantastic Four ship, whatever, he's gonna see that and he's gonna figure out, oh, okay, this is an anomaly, and he's gonna see, okay, that this Iron Man looks like me. So he's gonna use that to his advantage, and he's gonna go and try and win the heroes on Earth's trust. And he's a smart guy. If he's the real Victor Von Doom, and he can rival Reed Richards' intellect, he can definitely replicate a fake version of himself as Iron Man and gain the MCU 616 the main universes characters like Sam Wilson, Bucky, Thunderbolts, the She-Hulk, whatever Hulk. It'll be hard, but I feel like he'll try and go for that role as a variant. I don't think he'll present himself as the deceased Tony Stark, but I do believe he'll show the heroes that he is an Iron Man. He is an Iron Man, excuse me, and he will try and present himself as a good guy, as a hero. He's here to help with the incursions, all that kind of stuff. And so when we see that side of him, we're all going to be wondering, like, okay, what's his end goal here? And so we've had some we've had some leaks recently about there being Chris Evans returning and Scarlett Johansson returning as Black Widow, and a version of Hulk that's evil in the Maestro and all that kind of stuff. So there's been reports that the Victor Von Doom, RDJ, Doctor Doom, is going to make and assemble a team of variant Avengers that are actually evil, just like he is essentially an evil Iron Man, even though he is a different character in Doctor Doom. And now here we come to the betrayal part. So I mentioned that the Doctor Doom in the Avengers Doomsday will play up to be a hero in front of the Avengers or the Thunderbolts or whoever our main heroes are, the X-Men. He'll basically try and show everyone that he's a hero. Now the question is, where does the betrayal come from? The betrayal, in my opinion, and part of the theory, is that Tom Cruise will somehow show up from Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness movie where he was supposed to show up. He's going to come into the movie, and he's not going to be just some cameo. He is going to be the plot of one portion of the movie at least. He's going to somehow come in, maybe during the big Avengers vs. X-Men fight, or whatever kind of, fight sequence they're going to have, and he's going to be from a different universe, and then you're going to see another Earth in the sky or something like that comes into the same universe, and incursion begins, right? He's going to come in, and he's going to fly in, and everyone's going to be like, oh, there's an Iron Man coming, and all this kind of stuff. A rough play out of how it could work is he's flying in, and all the heroes see Iron Man, a version of Iron Man, and they look to Doctor Doom, or what we know is Doctor Doom, but they believe is a variant of Iron Man, and they say, and they're confused, and they ask him, hey, is this another variant of you? And he plays it off, and then he goes off screen, and he tries to intercept Tom Cruise's Iron Man before he lands and meets the heroes. And we're going to see him maybe, try and kill him or something like that. And then all the Avengers will walk in on them fighting, and all the characters will see them, and then Tom Cruise's Iron Man flips his helmet up and reveals his face as Tom Cruise Iron Man. And then maybe Doctor Strange, maybe we see Doctor Strange throughout the movie kind of have a distrust and be like, I don't really trust you kind of vibe. And then when he sees Tom Cruise Iron Man, we have that, oh shoot kind of moment, and he realizes, oh, that this Iron Man that we've been teaming up with, which is actually not Iron Man, is not who he says he is. And that we realize that Tom Cruise's Iron Man is probably saying he'd probably say this guy's a fraud, he's not really Iron Man, that kind of stuff. And we're gonna see basically the whole storyline play out from there, that all the heroes are gonna recognize that the person they've been befriending and they've been working together to stop the incursions is actually the one who's going to bring about their downfall. And there is what was going to start the rest of the movie, or maybe even Secret Wars. And Doctor Doom's going to, finally show himself and show what he really wants to do and just start becoming the true villain Doctor Doom, and just assembling his own villain Avengers team maybe, and then, completing his vision, I guess. So that's kind of a rough idea of the theory of how they're gonna of how I feel like they could explain Tom Cruise as being the key to Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man. Now, this is obviously a little bit reaching for a theory, in the sense that if you have an actor as big as Tom Cruise come back and play, the character that he was meant to play originally, and to almost in essence, kind of revert how the MCU came to be, because the MCU came to be from Iron Man, from RDJ's Iron Man. See, like, going back to the scene that maybe where he reveals himself as Tom Cruise, that like 5 other Iron Mans from different universes come in, and they're all like either different actors or they're like different versions of Tom Cruise Iron Man. And then everyone realizes, okay, he's not, that Doctor Doom is not Iron Man. He is a villain from a different universe. And then all of a sudden, the Fantastic Four come in maybe, and they're like, this guy's, Doctor Doom, he's a really bad guy. What have you guys done? Teaming up with him and helping him, all that kind of stuff. So it's a rough theory, but that's pretty much what I have. Overall, this is my theory. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Iron Man in the future, what they do with Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom in the future. There's been reports of him coming back for even after Secret Wars, which would be absolutely insane considering that there's supposed to be a soft reboot as well of the MCU after Secret Wars, but that's a whole other topic, whole other theory. But all in all, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if it's confusing in any way, I will have, I can make a follow-up video and explain more in my theory. This is just a rough theory. I do also recommend you guys check out another YouTuber's amazing theory for Secret Wars, and not Secret Wars, but Avengers Doomsday. He really kind of captures what I feel like is going to happen in Avengers Doomsday, and I'm going to link his video in the description below. It is by a YouTuber by the name of Blacksmith Studios, and he made a video titled Avengers Doomsday Pre-Write, and in essence, he kind of captures my theory perfectly, and he does more of a broad scope of Avengers Doomsday and kind of how it all ties in. So I really, really recommend you checking it out. It'll flesh out my theory perfectly. And if you're Marvel, if you've been keeping up with Marvel and all the anticipated moments that are going to be happening in Fantastic Four, Avengers Doomsday, all that kind of stuff, if you bring that all in together, this is the video that my video and his video together really makes sense. So I really, really hope you guys can go check mine out and give my video some love and subscribe. And I hope you guys like the video. But also, please go and check out this guy's video, Blacksmith Studios. He did a great job. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.